maybe a minute left. Just last question from the audience.
No, I just wanted to support what Jay said with and what he mentioned is Tasty. Tasty is doing that beautifully on Facebook. Quick content, very good way of reaching out to mobile audience and reaching out to people who can't cook, people who can cook and don't have the time, or people who don't want to cook and still have to. Amazing quick videos that probably take you a lot longer, but all over in 30 seconds. And amazing use of the Facebook medium, and they don't even, I don't think they use YouTube at all. They're doing so well on Facebook.
We have the last question, probably from the side. Yeah.
This question is for Jay. So when you, since content is at the core, so when you buy content, do you do exclusive rights, and can you just give us like a price point? So what is your most expensive content buy?
Do you want to take it offline later so that I can ask another question which is going to be more generic in nature? I think we should take it offline with me. It's like more commercial details. Any, the last question. From him, probably.
Okay. Actually, I'll give you the answer in exactly 2 words. It depends, and the rest you ask me offline.
So I'm sorry, the last question will be from there, but anybody who has any other questions will be available here in this area, and we can leave other people free if they want to break out of the session. Yeah, sorry, you.
Right. So I represent India Film Project, and we create somewhere around 15,000 minutes of video content every year. Now the thing is that because we are supporting ourselves only through video revenues, we have only got a single medium, YouTube, which basically helps us generate revenue. So, and in next 1 or 2 years, we don't see any other bigger mediums which is going to generate as or even 1/3 revenues as YouTube. So what are the other possibilities according to you from where we can generate?
I'll give you my email ID. I'll send you a contract. Let's sign up. There are a lot of emerging mediums. There's other platforms that are emerging. That's interesting. A lot of people underestimate. So it was one of the questions earlier as well. A lot of people underestimate actually the existing mediums. Don't write off cable TV and DTH yet. TV ain't dead in India. Not anytime soon. And definitely, I mean, we like to think of cord cutting in the US, and the fact that it is just starting. By the way, the latest state of the internet report by Mary Meeker also shows that TV didn't die, right? While Netflix grew tremendously in usage, TV usage in terms of minutes and revenue did not fall so much. It's not like, okay, Netflix doubled and like TV fell down to half. Not at all. It barely fell 4% in terms of minutes. Revenue-wise, it grew, by the way. Paid TV grew in terms of revenue last year. So this is in the US with a very well developed ecosystem, infrastructure. Netflix is there, all that good stuff happening. None of that is happening in India yet. So don't write off the other mediums. They're still there. There's money to be made, but of course you have to tailor the content to those mediums. It's not like everything that works on YouTube works over there and vice versa. The biggest advantage of YouTube is you can pretty much experiment with formats. On other mediums, you kind of get a little bit more constrained. You got to get into the 20-minute, 11-minute, etc., etc. So there's stuff around that. But yeah.
Fine. Thanks a lot, fellow panelists. I mean, the idea was to actually go beyond the regular content discussions that we usually, keep, hearing at every other place. For anybody of you who still have some questions for us, you can join us here in this area. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening through, and thanks for like a house full. In fact, before the session, we were wondering, are we going to be discussing internally without anybody else? But this looks like more than a house full. Thanks so much. Have a nice day, and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you very much, team panel. May I request you to please be there for a group?
We begin with our next session here in this hall, which is Apps for India, App Development Innovations Required in India. I'd like to introduce our esteemed panel on the stage, Mr. Arun Bhattacharya, Product Marketing Director for Mobile Platforms at Adobe, Mr. Dhruv Singhal, Head for Solutions Architecture at Amazon India, Mr. Srinidhi Rao, Vice President Consumer Mobility Practice at Robosoft, and Mr. Bruce Lawson, Technology Officer at Opera Software. And to moderate this discussion, I would like to welcome and invite Mr. Matteo Chiampo, Managing Director, Affle AppStudioz, to begin with the session. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you. As I said at the beginning, we have a difficult task. Two tasks. One is bring everybody back from the food table and have a panel that is more interesting than food. And the second one very excited to be here with this group of experts. There is an incredible wealth of experience here on stage. Very interesting. The experience goes across multiple domains, both geographically as well as skill-wise. So I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation, specifically about how to compare and contrast the global app development environment and ecosystem with the India-specific development, app development and ecosystem. In a sense, the question that we were debating before joining the panel today is there a case for an India exceptionalism in the area of app development? Should we think of Indian apps to be developed in a different way from the global standard? And this is a very pertinent question, especially these days when India, made in India, made for India apps are growing in number and growing in adoption, where we have hundreds of millions of new smartphones and new internet users coming online and basically adopting and using apps for the first time. And what I really like to do, I would like to start hearing our panelists' opinion on the global end-to-end development cycle of apps, as it is seen from a global perspective versus the India perspective. I'd like to start with Srini and see what your thoughts are.
Yeah. So, hi. So, as a company, we work with customers across the world. And one part of our customers are being in US and developing solutions for them, and a larger customer base in India, which work with them. So one of the common typical differences that we see when we engage with these customers or the geographies. So we believe that probably, especially let's say Silicon Valley or the surrounding areas, the overall practice of the approach towards mobile applications and give me in 2 months, and let's get started. That's where everything starts. And yes, then over a period of time, maybe when his business matures and he finds feedback from his uh, customers and the local community, maybe it would diverge into more India-specific solutions. Right? So that's an experience that we have had. So yeah.
Arun, can you give us your point of view on this topic, especially given your long experience on the West Coast in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, so I mean, I am, mostly exposed to a more worldwide view. So I think uh, with Srini, I can only compare and contrast with what I have sort of seen, and Adobe's experience is typically across, most Fortune 100 to small to medium-sized business, and of course the enterprise, large businesses worldwide, right? And it varies by geography across the world. It depends on, whether there are certain geographies that are, heavily iOS centric, or whether it's Android centric, like the Indian market is. And then there are, of course, customers who are, sort of believe in the web app, or the HTML5, or whatever you want to pick, right? So it varies, and depending on, where your propensity is in terms of your desire to deliver a consumer experience and customer experience. And I think in this conference, most of you probably heard about customer first and customer experience. Umang Beji delivered a keynote yesterday on that. It's all about experiences. The degree of experience that one needs, does it have to be just good enough, or does it have to be, be absolutely the best experience, right? Will determine the kind of apps that you develop, right? So for example, if you're developing a native mobile app which is based on, iOS or an Android to perfection, and you want to, take advantage of each and every platform feature, I think we will all agree that, you need a native app, right? However, if you want a broader reach, and I was just talking to one of my esteemed panel members, Bruce, about the recent decision that Flipkart did here in India around, I think softening their message around mobile app only, to sort of, now, doing a little bit of what they are calling a progressive is again a debate between whether I need to reach the entire population or do I need to just cover my Android users to develop a platform, right? So we see those kinds of various considerations, and that's really all I'm seeing. So we can get into it more based on how the discussion progresses.
That's great, Arun. Thank you for that. And actually, I want to pick on a couple of points that you made on the technology side. And I'd like to ask Bruce's opinion. Bruce, actually, when they say someone writes a book about something, actually, Bruce wrote the book on HTML5, as well as contributed to developing the original specs. So there is often a situation where we have a decision point, especially early on in the development phase, where we are faced and our clients are giving us the question whether to go with hybrid app or native app or perhaps an HTML5 web site that simulates the app behavior. And I'd like to have your opinion on how this could be, how this is developing around the world, as well as what you're seeing specifically in India.
Sure. I'm Bruce Lawson, and I'm the Deputy CTO at Opera Software. But I'm a technical guy, not a business guy. When we started making HTML5, we built in lots of features. So the ability to read the GPS, the geolocation, the ability to access camera, microphone, do in-browser video conferencing. But we forgot, because we're engineers, that user experience is just as much a feature as any of the things I mentioned. And we saw that one of the reasons that people were making native apps when actually a website would have been fine because they weren't using many device-specific APIs. One of the reasons is that you can save you can install a native app, and you have a nice icon on the home screen. You press it, springs to life, taking over the full screen. So one of the things that I've personally been involved with some of my friends in Chrome and Firefox is the development of a new standard called progressive web apps. And what that does is it brings the user experience but the actual site is still a website. And in conforming browsers like Opera for Android, Chrome, and soon Firefox, it will open up as an app and look like an app and be indistinguishable. But any other browser, it's still a website, so you still get that reach. And you want to make a change, you update your web server, and everybody sees the updated version immediately. No more submitting a new version of the app to the App Store, waiting for people who are waiting to get onto Wi-Fi to download it, if they ever do, for example. And last week I was at a modern web summit that was hosted by Flipkart, and their head engineer was talking about the Flipkart lights. They've made a progressive web app, and he said in his preamble, the reason I'm doing this is I want our website or web app to be available on every phone in India, regardless of the flakiness of the connection. That's why they chose this progressive web app. And I'm really personally delighted because somebody contributed to the development of this spec. It was a happy accident. I was just going to be in Bangalore, chilling out for the day by the pool. It's a real delight for me that the first real commercial use of this technology in the business is in Bangalore in India, where I just happen to be. So I think it's definitely a very promising technology if your aim is rich. If your aim is to monetize the app, by selling it, it's not for you because it's on the web. But if you want to reach everywhere, but give a great experience for Firefox, Android, Opera for Android, Chrome for Android, you probably want to have a look at it. It's called Progressive Web Apps. That was a very long speech, sorry.
No, that's great. Actually, that was very interesting. Which leads me to another point which I would request the group to share his thoughts about the testing of this app. So now we hear that there is another opportunity to add another not only device, not only operating system, but also another type of apps. And there is definitely some very interesting activity that can be done in the area of testing from web services.
Thanks, Matteo. So yeah, so
I head the solutions architecture for Amazon Web Services in India. So one of the challenges which mobile apps developers very often come up to us is that the number of Android devices, especially Indra is typically Android country. If you look at it, the vast majority of the phones in use today are based on Android. And one of the challenges they face is how to test the application on the hundreds of thousands of devices which they have right now. And that's a solution which, of course, today Amazon Web Services has. We have a device farm where physical devices are available and India-based devices are available, and you can test your application over there. Sorry, your mobile application over there, because, like I said, it's physically possible for a mobile app developer today to actually test their application on the hundreds of devices which are out there in the market, and they need the facility over there, and that's something which you provide.
Great, that's very interesting. And by the way, I think if anybody in the room has developed an app or has intention to develop an app, you will have to somehow work with Dhruv and his company for back-end services and AWS services.
Absolutely, thank you, Matteo. So that is the part, like, when you develop a mobile application today, especially in India, the device range is huge. You have the phones that got a half a gigabyte of memory to the full smartphones part of it. So to be able to develop applications which can work on this wide variety of devices is a challenge. So very often what you're finding is the application has to be fairly lightweight, and you want the backend to do the compute and the memory, the storage part of it, because if the app is too heavy, then you will automatically cut out a large percentage of the population from being able to use it. So, like you mentioned, a web application or HTML5 application, a progressive application, that's one way to do it. If you want this to be a native application, then you would want the native application to be as lightweight as possible. But obviously, you want it to have all the functionality, functionality. So one way we find application developers building the applications is that they move the processing to the back end. The back end can be on the cloud, or back end can be on your on-premise. Obviously, from the Amazon Web Service part of it, we provide a lot of functionality to developers to be
Srini, I was wondering if you are seeing from this large adoption of smartphones, especially coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities here in India. If you have seen specific requirements for UI and UX that are kind of different from your clients that might be coming from Australia or from the US or from the UK.
I think we stress quite a bit on the overall user experience and UI of any application for that matter. And specifically from Indian context, when we talk to most of the companies who come to us, we stress them on defining the intent for that application very clearly before they even start. Right. See, if I have to give a typical example, somebody would come to me and say, look, here is a list of 30 features that I want in this application. But we would take them back one step and say that, give me the intent. What is that you want this application to solve, or what is the business problem this is going to solve very clearly. So what we believe is, at the end of the day, every application has to solve a business problem very clearly, end to end. Only then it can be successful, or probably it can go beyond what an initial launch of it. I mean, if I have to give a classic example, when Uber or WhatsApp launched, it had a single feature probably, which used to do end to end very clearly, solutioning, sending either booking a cab or going with it, or doing a messaging over the internet, right? And over a period of time, yes, it has grown beyond that, and they've got more and more features. So from the UI UI point of view, that is what we tell most of our Indian customers, saying that, let's first find the intent, let's start from there, and then let's go to the user experience and the UI part of it. Right? Yes, there is a challenge when our new customers come from different parts of India, but UI can be as beautiful as it can be, as intuitive it can be, so that it can serve the wide range of customer base that we have in India.
That's great. That's great. There is one other aspect I think that I found personally being somewhat treated differently between the global context and the India context, and that's the data privacy and data security aspect of those apps. There is a lot of data, personal data that gets collected, and if you look at customer pretty big sensitivity. You go from the incredibly tight regulation of a HIPAA system in the US for healthcare information, healthcare-related information, all the way to the fact that personal data are considered very important. And I want to again ask our panelists their point of view on, once again, compare and contrast the difference, if you have found differences in how the data security and data privacy is taken in account between the global landscape and the Indian landscape.
So that's the interesting part. So in India, the regulations are fairly tight in terms of how data privacy is controlled. So we've got an IT Act which controls how much of data is controlled, sort of how much of data is visible and how to secure it. So PCI DSS system, the payment card industry part of it, those standards are there. HIPAA for health is there. We've got regulatory issues for telecom data not going out of country. So there are a fair amount of regulations based right now which control how individual data as well as different types of data is handled. And then it's up to the platform to make sure that those regulations are complied with. So, whether the platform on which you're building an application, is it PCI DSS compliant or not? Is it HIPAA compliant or not?
Sure. So once again, Arun, I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna pass the question to you as well. You see the monetization part. Adobe works a lot to actually make money out of the eventually. And so personal data and data about the user is a very important component of that of the side of the business.
Yeah, no. So there are, I think, two different thoughts in that, right? So there is one thought which I think was more along the lines of what Srini was alluding to, which is when you're developing an app, right? Depending on what that app is, right? That app is either going to be an external facing app, right, which is touching a consumer, or it's going to be a B2E app or an internal facing app. Most likely a custom built app, right? So for the most part, when you're developing a customer facing app, then you get into this notion of mobile app engagement. You are trying, your app is your brand, right? Or just pick any app that you have on your phone. And you are trying to basically boost your brand. You're trying to create awareness of that brand. You're trying to acquire users, right? And ideally, you want to follow through in that customer journey all the way through the end. When you realize some money from your loyal user from that app, right? And we call that a customer journey in Adobe Speak, because what we do is we help people develop apps from a development platform, right? We help you acquire your mobile app users, and then we help you analyze that using Adobe Analytics. And you can segment, you can micro-segment, you can do predictive analytics, you can do a bunch of different things, right? Which then can help you in retaining and making your retention and loyalty, right? Which ultimately translates into monetization, right? So that is one thought. The other thought when it comes to data security and everything that we are just now touching on, right? So I have also been a part of this whole journey of, you may have heard of mobile device management and mobile application management and data security and all of that, he's laughing, probably familiar with it. So yeah, so I have seen globally, I mean, various countries have various data privacy regulations, HIPAA being a great example, and these wonderful acronyms that you said. Right? So, to treat with that data security, and I think probably Srini or Bruce might be able to say a little bit better in terms of, as they're developing apps, how do they consider data security? But for the most part, the way that I have seen it done is either by managing the device through MDM tools, mobile device management tools, or mobile app management tools, right? So I think those are two separate things, unless somebody else wants to add something on it. It's an aside, but we're noticing Indian consumers becoming increasingly privacy aware. One of the newest products that Opera has came out in May last year. It's called Opera Max, and it just sits on your Android device behind the scenes, compressing data. So it compresses everything into your Android device, every app, browser, by 50%. But on the 3rd of this month, we added encryption. So if you have Opera Max on your Android device, all the data not only is compressed by 50% to save you money, but it also encrypts everything. So I immediately installed it on my wife and kids' phones, because they use a lot of data in coffee shops, etc. And I'm delighted that I can share with you that
launched May last year, we've just hit 5 million consumers, the vast majority of whom are in India, because Indians are becoming worried about data privacy and quite rightly so. I think the news over the last couple of years has shown that everybody needs to be concerned about it.
That's very interesting. And one other point that I am sure differentiates apps that are made in India for India is the language. The language point, and I like to hear both from the technical aspect as well as from kind of the business of developing apps aspect from Srini and Bruce. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think it would also depend on the category of the application that we are developing, right? It probably depends on it. For example, if an e-commerce application, they may or may not have multiple languages supported in it, or if their user experience in the UI is intuitive enough, the process of buying is pretty much similar across the languages. Whereas a content-driven application like news or media applications or even a bank application for that matter might be more focused on making a customized version of a localized version of that based on the languages and everything else. So we have seen both the ways in a lot of news organizations having multiple versions of their websites on the webs, Hindi, Gujarati, and everything else. And the other organizations will say just have English, but make the icons and the UI more intuitive enough for everybody to consume without needing to know what the language is all about. So yes, from development perspective, it always adds a little more work when you want to localize certain aspects of it. But we always try and encourage them, let's try and start with one language and make it better out there, and then it's much easier to move around.
It's something we think very seriously about in opera, because it's a worldwide product. Opera Mini, the thing that many of you will know best, supports 90 languages, and I'm delighted that on Republic Day we were able to make a new version with 13 Indian languages in there. In fact, this morning I was sent an email with some recommendations to get more localized content in there, because not everybody English. I mean, I speak French, Turkish, and Thai, but I prefer to read my mother tongue. I think most people do. And it's also important, I think, for the digital divide. We know that 53% of urban Indians have a connection to the web, and we know that between 2014 and 2015 there was a 93% increase in the number of rural Indians who are connected to the web. Even after that 93% increase, only 9% of rural Indians have connectivity. And those are the people for whom localized content is particularly important, I think, because they're far less likely to understand English. And I think that in order for, to be honest, in order for opera to be successful and make money, but also in order for digital India to really empower people and to further the prosperity of India, it's vital that the 91% of people in rural India get connected and get onto the web. We know that of every 10 people that connects to the web, one is lifted out of poverty. This is an important thing, I think, for the whole nation and for everybody.
Please.
Just want to add a bit. So right now we have about 100 million people in India who are conversant with English and who can use apps English-based. We have 300 million smartphone users now who are not conversant with English. So they would obviously want an app which is in their language, and they are just about, in fact, moving from feature phones to smartphones. So they are sort of struggling on two sides. They are coming on to a smartphone from a feature phone, getting a new device, and for them to also cross the language barrier is a challenge. So obviously applications which are being built for the next lot of users, if I can say, have to be vernacular. What we are finding is that we have quite a few customers in India today. Content is a very popular media application, sorry, mobile application. So we've got media customers like Punjab Kesari, for example, or Malayalam Manorama. They are showcasing their content. They have their mobile applications for their content, which is in their language, Malayalam for Malayalam Manorama, or Punjabi in the case of Punjab Kesari, and a whole host of those media houses which are launching mobile applications which showcase or which quite high, not only in India but worldwide. A Punjabi Sikh living in Canada wants to speak in Punjabi, or same way for a Malayalam person who's maybe in the Middle East or wherever the person is. And with this, they are able to increase the coverage of their content. They are able to monetize a lot better because an ad played, 10-second ad on a mobile in the US is worth a lot more than a 10-second ad in India. So they are able to figure out how to get the content to a loyal customer base in the US. They are able to monetize the content better. So we are working a lot with quite a few media houses in India who are showcasing their vernacular content to that loyal customer base across the country. So it's working out very across the world. Sorry, it's working out really well for them.
Very interesting. Thank you. Very interesting. I want to follow up on that, Dhruv. One more question for you, which is about, we touched upon very specific infrastructure constraints that we have here in India. Of course, the situation has improved greatly. We all see a fantastic development, but still, in order to reach those hundreds of millions of rural users, probably the data connectivity will be lower bandwidth. How you are seeing this the solution for this?
Yes, so that's, so in fact, if you look at it, building applications, mobile applications in India is very challenging. We've got the languages part of it, we've got the user maturity part of it, we've got the device range part of it, from the smallest feature, feature people should become a smartphone, like they're almost on the cusp of it. And of course, like you mentioned, the network connectivity. So any application which you are building has to take care of all these four features, functionalities, to be able to really become mass popular. Specifically on the network connectivity part of it, what we find is that if the application is content heavy, then you have features like adaptive bit rate, which will, depending upon, they automatically sense the network bands available, and based upon that, they will either show very lightweight content or heavy content. They will change the density of the content or the quality of the content based upon how good or bad the network connectivity is. Secondly, what we are finding is the customer using is something called CDNs, content delivery networks, which cache the content locally. That also helps to reduce the work better environment where the network connectivity is parts is adaptive bit rate technology and also caching, so edge locations where content is cached locally. Uh, these two things help in reducing some of the issues we have with the poor network we have in India. It's improving, but like you mentioned, we still have a long way to go.
Absolutely. And from the side of monetization, are those constraints impacting in any way, or do you see these constraints impacting specifically the India market?
Yeah, I mean, I from the India market perspective, I need to have a lot more information, which I don't, unfortunately. But I can tell you the way to think about it. Though he's very right in that everybody who is developing an application, at the end of the day, it is the customer experience, right, that will determine your loyalty and that will determine your monetization. So, because we are on the topic of infrastructure, other than, you know, cases like the language in which the language is developed, etc., which again will play a very important role in the retention and loyalty of an acquisition of more users, right? The application performance itself, right, will have a lot of impact on the user experience, right? If you are, I mean, I was just having this, I was just checking my Jet Airways boarding pass just before I come here. It was coming here to see if it shows up, and it wasn't showing up on my mobile phone. So I'm going to really keep my fingers crossed to hope that when I go to the airport, somebody please tell me that if it doesn't work, I'll download it before I go on my mobile phone, right? So it's that, it's called the last mile connection, or whatever you want to call it. There are solutions out there which will actually help you do this, right? Which will evaluate what are the network latencies and will optimize your network latencies, right? It will optimize, like he's saying, the right kind of application, which is relatively lightweight, which does not need that much of storage and network, etc. Right? Does not need so much of processing on the foreground. It's mostly back end, right? All of those things, I think, you know, are considered, and I think it's not just specific to India, but it's a problem worldwide, depending on which region you are in. There are certain parts of US, there are certain parts of very advanced nations in Europe where some of these things can be very handy. So I think it's a general problem for all of us to consider. And you know, Srini is based in India, but he's selling his products in US. So he has to consider that while he's developing the app.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain, there are multiple ways these challenges could best practices that one could follow to make sure that their app size is smaller and it downloads faster and it doesn't consume a lot of memory and the footprint and the way it consumes the network and the way it syncs. See, I think as today we have channels to identify everything about the state of the phone and what it is and where it is and everything else, based on which your application can behave intelligently. And I think that's the way to go. We have to make our apps more intelligent, adapted to the network and the environment it is in, and behave accordingly. Right? If it is in a lower network condition, behave in certain way, or gracefully degrade. That's a key way of going with the applications today. And that's a case in any part of the world, probably more so in India.
And Bruce, from the opera, from the perspective of opera, are you guys creating or building in your architecture something that can say systematically take care of this type of problems across the world?
It's what we do. I'll share a secret with you, but don't tell anybody. Camera off. When smartphones really started to take off in India, I personally was a bit worried because Opera Mini, which is our biggest product in the Indian market, was developed for feature phones. Loads of people I've met in the last 10 days have said, oh, I've used Opera Mini since my M70 because that was the only way to get on the web. And we developed it because feature phones simply aren't powerful enough to run a web browser. So I was scared that when smartphones were prevalent, that people would stop using Opera Mini. But actually, it hasn't happened, and it's because of what I call Bruce's law of smartness. Is years or decades, particularly in a country, I don't know, 20 years ago, I took the Coromandel Express, and I think it was 3 days from north to south India, and the Himalayas lurk in between. There's a heck of a lot of impediments to upgrading the infrastructure. So there's a huge amount of people in urban areas all contending to use the same cell tower, and very few of them are connected to the fibre optic backbone. So what Opera Mini does, and I know this is going to get geeky, but when you make a request for a website, that request is sent to our big server farm in Iceland that is powered by high The average website makes 62 requests for images, for JavaScript, for CSS, for advertising. Each one of those has to go across the congested network in New Delhi or Bangalore or in a tier 3 city where the networks are just slower. So what we do in Iceland over super fast connections, we make those 62 requests. Our servers lay out the page, assemble it all, and then squirt it back down to you over your congested networks as just one binary blob. And because it's just one thing, that's why it has much more of a chance of getting through. A lot of people told us in Chennai that Opera Mini would work after the floods because it's just the one binary blob coming down. But also because we lay it all out, it's compressed down to about 10% of its original size, which means it comes to you faster. And of course, if you have a 500 megabytes data plan, you're getting 10 times as many pages for your money. So we're not, in answer to your question, we're not just building solutions, it's what we do. Opera is actually about compressing the data so that it gets to you fast, cheaply, and safely.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm sure that our audience really does appreciate this type of technological underlying infrastructure improvement. I'd like to reserve some time to take questions from the audience. So I'd like to wrap it up now with one last question to all our panelists. And this question is about a bit looking in the crystal ball and figuring out of being here, sitting in this room, maybe 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, same audience, same panelists, and what would we talk about in a panel like this about apps made for India, made in India, 2 or 3 years down the line?
I think one of the challenges will be the sheer number of applications on the phone and how to retain the customer interest, because as the phones will become more powerful as we go along, which will mean that maybe today a phone can only hold 5 apps, it will hold 50 apps 2 years from now. Human attention is still have only 24 hours a day. How do you try to make sure that your app is the one which the user uses your app is one of the top 10 apps on that particular phone which will be used. I think we'll be discussing that 2 years from now.
Yeah, so I think Dhruv and I, we need to have a chat outside this room because Adobe, we have a solution for you today. We don't have to wait for 2 years. We will show you how we monetize that. From my perspective, I think we are going to see all about mobile maturity, right? I mean, everywhere you go, it's all about how you are maturing, and everybody, right? I mean, just like any sample size, there are various people in different stages of maturity. So there are various people, various companies in the US, I mean in India, where you are in different stages of maturity. Some are ahead, some are behind. I would have expected in about 2 years that a lot more of the bulk of the mobile industry would be a much advanced, much matured journey wherein we would be more data driven, we would be more data driven in terms of analytics, in terms of what the apps are doing, and how do we use that? How do we decide what should be the future of the application based on the data? When you see most of the startup probability of the successful startups are already in that level, but as a community, not everybody are in that level. There are still companies figuring out whether or not to do mobile. Should they do mobile? Should they do native, hybrid, and all these kind of questions? I hope I won't get to answer any of those questions 2 years down the line, rather than be more data driven and just talk about how do we monetize it better, how do we market it better, and where are we going to do next with the mobile. Well, if we are here in 3 years' time, and by we I mean you as well, I expect to spend quite a little bit of time blushing modestly as you thank me for telling you about these progressive web apps. So you'll say, Bruce, thank you for telling me about those, because
3 years ago, right?
because I made one before my competitors did, and I ate their biryani. So I expect I'll spend a little bit of time doing that. But I also expect that we'll be having much the same conversations, particularly about network and bandwidth, because there's a race to get more people online, which is great. But then, even as the infrastructure gets better, there will be more people coming online and clogging up the infrastructure, and the infrastructure will get better and more people will come online. But don't be disheartened, because next month I
was actually very, very interesting. This kind of crystal ball glazing and looking into the future. Thank you very much. I'd like to open it to the floor and take any questions that you think our panelists can respond to.
Hi, my name is Sunil. Represent technology company which is making apps in multi-language. So we do apps in two languages. Wearing another hat, this question is for Steve. Bruce. Bruce, what about inclusion? You have a ton of Indians who don't know how to read and write. So here's an idea, maybe with the community that I work with. I work with the blind community, and the screen readers that are not local language friendly yet. English is the only access to us. Today, if you make screen languages on the mobile, screen reader friendly, it can help us being part of the mainstream, plus helps the illiterate also quickly read what's content on the net.
Thank you, sir. No, that's very interesting because I started my time getting involved with web standards precisely about accessibility and screen reading use. Inclusion is a significant factor. I was talking to a friend of mine in Pakistan, and she has some fascinating videos. She's got a video of a guy who's 24. He's a feature phone user. She puts down a smartphone and says, just Google for the name of your favourite actress. And there's a terribly painful video of him for 1 minute just because he can't find the keyboard. There's no keyboard on a smartphone. There are people with far greater impediments to accessing the web than can they afford a smartphone, or is there a network? People just don't know. The World Bank last week published a report. It's 350 pages of graphs and stuff, but weirdly I find it interesting. But it's all about that. 7 out of 10 people who are not connected say they have no idea what the internet will do for them or how they can use it, and 4 of them said it's a what? So there's a heck of a lot of people to educate. This World Bank report, I'm Bruce L on Twitter, tweet a link to it. This World Bank report not only has a report, but it has several pages of key advice to governments and policy makers So I absolutely hear you. That's why we're trying to localize stuff. That's why we're trying to make sure that we get as many people educated as possible. There's a lot of people.
Yes, we have a question in the front.
Yeah, hi. We hear a lot about these companies generating a lot of data and then monetizing this data. Do you foresee any kind of confidentiality issues when data is monetized? Monetized as in, there are companies who use the data and there are companies who generate the data.
Arun, you want to try and take this one?
I mean, it all depends on, I think, the regulatory climate you are in and what are the regulations in specific countries. Is your question specific to?
No, it is not specific to. So I'm a WhatsApp user or I'm a Facebook user. All of these are basically data sources or data mines. Any organization can pick up data from these data mines, or is there some kind of streaming or confidentiality, security clearance before some data is funneled into the organization using this data?
So, I mean, I cannot speak for Facebook because I'm not in Facebook. I don't think it wouldn't be the right thing for me to do. But what I can tell you is that in general, that when you are using somebody's data, there is enough of a contractual T&C that has been placed up front to figure out what are the data usage policies, what the data can do and where it can be used, right? Using and monetizing may be different things, but even using itself can be subject to legal liabilities. So I'm not sure if anybody else has any other thoughts on this topic, but I certainly
To
don't.
elaborate my question, all of the marketing, the internet marketing companies or the marketing companies also use segment customers into various with various attributes, and hence using data available either freely or through various data mines available, giving out or reaching out to the customer. So do you see any confidentiality issues or data security issues around that?
I just like to say, obviously, I can only speak for the organisation I work for. But Opera Mini, we collect data on a national level. So I could tell you the top 10 domains that India visits every year. It's Facebook, Google, there's ClickBuzz, and there's the normal stuff. But we do not collect, and we cannot collect any information about any individual. We're not interested in doing that.
So we have a question.
Hi, Simon Acumen, we're launching mobile project. The simple question on data and applications. We see a lot of applications being generated or developed which has a lot of similarities. Is there a way to streamline it at the national or international level? Because there's so much similarity, and someone's inventing application here and across the world as the same application there.
So I'm going to ask Srinidhi to answer the question, although as a mobile app development company, we kind of like that situation, like not to streamline it, but I'll let Srinidhi.
Yeah, I mean, it's my business, right? So I would love to develop that. But I mean, having said that, there are a lot of companies who would come and say, look, I want that. Right? So that's also there. But I would leave that to the market. See, at the end of the day, if users do not use it, it's not going to survive. Right? See, there is so much of money that is being spent today on user acquisition, mobile marketing, and everything else. That's a huge business, right? So you know the problem. The problem is because there are too many apps, right? And wanting to get the attention of the users. So it's already there. Believe me, that's going to happen. It's already happening.
I'd just like to tag on to that and actually just say what Ruth said a little bit back. He's right about this 2 years thing, right? Which of the applications is going to win the race, right? So at the end of the day, if you are really focusing on the right things, that application which, delivers the best value is basically the one that's going to be able to monetize. So there might be 1,000 different kinds of applications that are very similar. I mean, I was reading some article where it said like there are some million applications that is out there, for Android, and there was a certain million number for iOS. I mean, come on. There are only so many verticals, right? And so many use cases. There have got to be a ton of them doing the same thing. But what will differentiate, the leader your definition of the value is dependent on how well you understand the customer, right? So they're all correlated, and the one who wins the game obviously understands that.
Thank you.
We have time for two questions. So here in the front, please.
Bruce, I have this question for you. Most of the times when we try to debate about progressive web apps versus mobile app, among all the factors, the two most important factors which we weigh on heavily, one is the immersive user experience which you get on mobile apps, which of course now the progressive web apps would start giving it, hopefully. The second part is the amount of personalization which you can do. Mobile apps will obviously help you do a lot of personalization around experience which you want to give to user, and it's not even a matter of debate that the personalized experience will give you maximum bang for the buck. The conversion rates are significantly higher, the engagement levels are significantly higher. So obviously I want the person to have a lot more personalized experience. How would you track progressive web apps versus mobile apps when I want to look from the personalization point of view?
Great question. Let me address points in the order you raised them. Immersive experience. We have very nearly feature parity now on the web with what you can do on individual devices. You know, you can do augmented reality, you can do video conferencing in browsers, this sort of stuff. There are certain things like, you know, Apple's health kits, which there is no standard because it's a proprietary thing. And those kind of things will always need the native app. Monetization, if you want to sell it, you have to make a native app because the web is free. Subscription models, etc., but I'm not sure they actually work. Personalization, well, you know, if I log on, if I go to Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk right now on my computer, it says hi Bruce, and there are some excellent book choices that extract money from my wallet every time. Because they have a great back end that has tracked my buying habits for years excellent machine learning technology sitting over in Drew's basement, running Amazon. That's not a difference between progressive web apps and native. The essential difference, if you want it in a nutshell, if you want to sell it, native. If you want reach, progressive web app. From a user experience perspective, there is pretty much feature parity, with the added advantage that progressive web apps work on Opera for Android now, Chrome for Android now, Firefox for Android soon. And if you visit a progressive web app in a different browser, it's a website, just as it always was. Nobody loses out. So from that, you know your businesses. I don't. We're increasing the choice for developers and business owners. You will make that best choice. As Arun said, it's about knowing your customers. This isn't a magical technological marvel. This is called capitalism, and it's the way people have been doing business forever. The person who knows his customers best wins.
One last question. I think we had someone here from the front.
Yeah, I have a question. The trend of going in aggregated apps, there are different taxi services, but then the app comes up where all taxi services get listed. There are a lot of hotels, but then there is an app that all hotels got listed in Zomato. So this trend that is coming up, where do you see an individual business also offering an app to a customer when you have so many aggregators out there? So that's my question. Is it going to be an increasing trend where you see customers getting an installing an app, and he sees a lot of aggregators there, and he picks and chooses the service? So is this going to be a coming trend, or it's again going to get into individualistic and more personalized apps?
Let me take a shot. I think aggregators will work because they are more customer focused. See, I mean, the app which is customer focused will win. So if your app gives the customer choice of multiple hotels, or multiple airlines, or multiple whatever if they can buy, that's the app that the customer will go to, and it's a free market. So any app which is customer focused, which is meeting that I would imagine that instead of I go to 10 different total apps trying to, I will go to one aggregator app because it makes my life easier. So based upon that, my thought process would be that yes, the aggregator will probably win unless the hotel app is able to give something unique of unique value. Is going to be a challenge for them.
Do we still have a few minutes? Yeah, so actually there is a last question.
The big back issue.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matteo, and my question is for Dhruv. So, Amazon is the only marketplace in India right now which also has a global presence. So, Flipkart and Paytm and Myntra are very India-centric. So, my question is, could you highlight 2 to 3 user-specific, behavior-specific changes that you've noticed in the Indian market versus the global market?
So actually, I have loved Amazon Web Service, which is the cloud computing part of it. So I'm not on the e-commerce part of it. So I'm really not the right person to answer.
Do you have any specific for the web service that might be different from how they are used globally?
So, web service is actually the Indian audience is different. So like the mobile application will take a lot of care of the fact that the network bandwidth is not very good in India. So applications built on Amazon Web Services, mobile applications built on web services, we try to give guidance on how to use A applications which don't use that network bandwidth, and B how to tackle different network bandwidth. So that is one thing we should take care of.
Thank you.
Sure, please, absolutely.
I think you might be delighted that we see India having huge similarities with the rest of the globe. So I was looking at the top 10 websites that Indians look at, and 7 of the 10 are exactly the same as the top 10 websites that Nigerians look at, and the UK looks at, and the USA looks at. The differences are in the handsets and the network. And I would tell any web developer anywhere in the world to make sure the website is as efficient as possible. You consume as little bandwidth as possible. the similarities we see between the way people use the internet, or specifically use the web, far outweigh the differences.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. I would say I would wrap it up here. Thank you very much for a very interesting and very insightful